Okay, they're recording.
Alright. Hello everybody and welcome to another Toonkind at 12 FPS. I am Authenticity. I will be playing the part of the Ticked Off Chicken, also known as TOC, and I am joined by...
Hello, it's me, I'm Atomic, and I'm going to be playing Mac, who is long, big snake. I don't know how to describe him. He's anxious and dumb, and I love him.
He's valid.
That's all you need to know.
All the best people in
Yeah,
life
they're
are
all
anxious and dumb.
big and valid.
Alright,
All
so...
y'all are valid.
Okay, so... when a building is about to be condemned in Inkwell, there's, just like there is in real life, there's certain procedures that you have to go through. You need a permit, you need, different inspectors to come in. And one of those inspections is called the Pro-Tags inspection, where you basically, you go through the building with, preferably a group of 2 to 3 adventurers, and just make sure that there's no plot lines still in the building that need to be addressed. Normally, when people are looking for adventures, there's message boards that will be picked up, but they'll also reach out to, people in the area who, might have a cleaning background. So I imagine that one of those two avenues is probably how Mac finds himself in the foyer of this just very upsetting multi-story building.
That sounds about right. It doesn't care about how big this building is, it's money.
Yeah. And it's actually pretty good money. Like, it's 10 gold upon the signing of the contract, and then if you go through, all the sub basements and stuff, you will get, another larger sum on completion. Like, it's probably not going to break any banks, but it's a good 20 gold.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So you find yourself in a building or a room with very high ceilings. There's still a lot of sunlight filtering in through the door behind you, and through the usual half boarded up windows. But it's very dusty and it's very quiet. Would you like to make me a perception, Mac?
Yes, I would.
All right.
And Nick has a plus on that.
All right, 13. So you can see, there's not you haven't been given a lot of information on what this building was. Some people say, it was like a big, like, a butchery, like a big factory where they not necessarily slaughter animals, but like process the meat. Others say, it was an orphanage at one point. It was like a halfway home. That's maybe a little bit more upsetting, just based off of the vibes of this place. But you can kind of see, there's a cork board on uh, one of the walls, as if to put official notices for employees on. There's an office off to the side that's been mostly cleaned out, and then you can go forward, and there is a suitably dark and depressing hallway. Also, you hear just sort of a quiet, sort of like rhythmic scuffling. Just sort of a click, click, tap, tap, tap.
Well, being in this dusty, sort of depressing almost place, and then hearing something that he thinks he shouldn't hear. Looking at his options, Mac's probably gonna head in towards the office just as quietly as he can, because that's a weird noise, and he's
Uh,
not about to go Scooby-Doo looking for that.
do you want to roll a stealth?
Sure, yeah.
I mean, you don't have to. It's you can also just focus on what
I
you're
want to see
doing
if,
and let whatever's coming your way, do what it wants.
yeah, but I want to see if he fails.
No, it's an 18.
Oh, so he's very much silent.
Yeah, it's
So he sort of like goes up against the wall and just sort of slides along.
mm, it. In the office there are most of the furniture is cleaned out. Um, there is sort of those sorts of built-in desks that has a very old-fashioned typewriter on it. There are some filing cabinets that are stacked way higher than you think filing cabinets should be. Um, but as you sort of enter the space, you have your options. But behind you, you can also hear the sort of tap 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 tappy tap 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 coming a little bit closer. Um,
Hmm. But
so
I think knowing that it's coming closer, Mac's going to. Hmm, I think he's going to try and climb one of one of the filing cabinets just to try and stay out of sight, and just
that's
sort of pile all of his length up on the top of it like a big ball of yarn.
that's it. Get on the fridge. Get up there. Anyway,
Up there.
this building is already a pecking nightmare. Um, After a few
Only a little bit.
minutes. Oh, say again.
It's only a little bit of a nightmare.
A little nightmare, as a treat. Um,
Eh.
After about I don't know, maybe 20 seconds, not too long. What comes into view is a little black shape holding a piece of paper. Um, and as it kind of steps into one of the beams of sunlight, you see that it's a little, it looks like a real kind chicken. It's got, little angry, cartoonish eyebrows sitting on its head, and it's holding its wings in a very toonish manner, like their arms holding this piece of paper. But they look very real kind. And they're sort of, they're looking around. They sort of go over and look at the corkboard, and then they just kind of stare at it blankly, and then they go to yeah, they're just sort of like almost like you're doing. They're inspecting things.
Hmm. I think seeing this, well, identifying the noise now as a small chicken, Mac is no longer afraid whatsoever. He just sort of goes, in his head, he goes, "Oh, yeah, of course it was," and he's going to just sort of embarrassed climb off the filing cabinet and just sort of mosey on over to introduce himself, because apparently there's someone else here. Maybe they're supposed to be like checking on him. He doesn't know, so he's just gonna put his best foot forward, even though he doesn't have any.
Mm.
And he's just gonna introduce himself.
The chicken looks up from their piece of paper, and for a second, it's like they've got a little bit of a resting bitch face. Like it's a little bit intimidating. But when they see, Mac, they sort of reshuffle their feathers and hold out. They start to hold out like a wing, and then they realize that's not going to work. So they just sort of like they give you a sign language hello. I am TOC, and they give you a name sign.
Oh, and seeing the signing, Mac is going to respond in sign. It's not great. He's clearly still learning, but he spells out Mac and asks, "What's up? Are you here to clean this place out? I thought unless there's been a mistake, I thought I signed up for this. I'm not sure what's going on."
I will mention that this chicken is also not very good at sign. Like it's very rudimentary, and also it's almost like the way they sign is a little weird. Like the person that they learned from only had one arm, or I don't know, one flipper. Anyway, but they flip the paper around so that you can see. And it's got basically you weren't given the list, but it's basically like check the windows, check the wardrobes, check filing cabinets for loose papers. But at the top of the list is locate partner.
Oh, okay. And also, I forgot to mention, Max somehow signing with his tail. I don't know how it works. He just sort of does it.
Yeah, it's it's one of those things where it's like, don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. This chicken is signing using a one-handed style. It's fine. Actually, I might roll history if that's okay with you to see if he recognizes that style.
Sure, actually, I would it be prudent for TOC to roll history as well?
Yeah.
All right.
You can both see if they identify this awful. I don't think Mac is going to realize.
Wow. With a -1, that's a 16. The ticked off chicken kind of stops. And by the way, you don't have that their name is the ticked off chicken. They just gave you TOC. I think like there's a definite possibility that you just think their name is Talk. They kind of stop and they look at the way that you're signing. They're like, that reminds me. They signed this. That reminds me of, well, it doesn't really matter, but the little friend, the little person who taught me. How very strange.
Huh. And Mac's gonna say, well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, like. Fuck, I'm not sure what Mac's saying.
It's alright. I will mention that, like, they haven't mentioned Jackie's name yet because, honestly, I think it's really funny if we get, like, a moment, like
way
longer.
Later.
Yeah, like, they just sort of like, oh, that's very strange. Oh, that's also very strange. I'm sure it's nothing. And then finally, like like months down the line, they're like, wait. But for now, you can see this chicken. There's not a lot of expression in there, but they're sort of regarding you a little bit more amiably. Like the association has been made, and it kind of it makes them more inclined to be in a good mood.
And being introduced to a partner in a cleaning job that is of bird nature, I think Max also already warming up, especially with the tune sign.
They're like, yeah, this person reminds me of Jackie. That's nice.
This is familiar. You don't even realize.
Yeah, it's just like, wow, weird. Anyway,
No, we don't have to unpack all. Max gonna say, and so you're my partner for this, and you have a list. So
yeah, the eyebrows.
Yeah, introductions out of the way. Should we start somewhere? I'm not sure where to start. I sort of only got in here like 5 or 10 minutes ago. I didn't realize you were coming. I was just gonna sort of spruce everything up. But if we've got, tasks.
Well, the TikTok chicken, the eyebrows go down again, and they look at the list. Like, you get maybe the feeling that the reason why they weren't in here sooner was because the person who was briefing them wanted to make extra sure because they're a chicken, and of course chickens are dumb, right? So, yeah. But I will mention that you're not necessarily there to clean so much as you are there to you're there basically to make sure that there's no plot relevant details that have been left around. Like if there's papers and stuff, you can retrieve those. If there's like hidden doors, you go through those. But you're there to make sure that like when the building is demolished, there's no like portals to a secret, fantasy realm left in the air.
Right.
So,
I don't think Mac was briefed that well.
Yeah, it's maybe it's a good thing that they were condescending to the chicken. But they will show you the list. And again, like it's locate partner. That part they just sort of drag their beak across so that it tears the paper. Like that's done. And then there's just like basically you just stick your nose anywhere you can think of, and if there's a plot to find you, it will, and if there isn't, then it won't, and you can just go through normally. Like it's a lot of like little ways to do that. Like I don't necessarily want to be like do this task, do that task, but like it's like check this window, check check behind this bookcase.
Right.
Also, I should mention for the audience that this building is based loosely off the video game Little Nightmares, which is a game that I have watched, a fraction of. Atomic was the one who was playing it, so assumably they know more about this very upsetting building.
Yeah. Man, after this, I gotta play some more.
Yeah, I might join you. If you stream, you don't have to.
No, I will, because I want to play with you.
Oh.
Okay, back onto the FPS. Before we get too distracted.
Yeah, so
Hey, so
can you see
seeing?
Oh, go ahead.
Nah, you go ahead.
All right. TOC's first
I
inclination is to sort of take, not necessarily like the front, but sort of like they position themselves in a very meat shieldish way as you're going forward. Like it's they're still, looking back at you periodically so they can see your signs. And at some point they do mention that they can hear. Like it's fine if you use your voice. It's just, um they can extend the courtesy in kind. Uh
hearing
but
that, Mac is reminded even more of a certain poultry pal whom he started signing to on their first job together,
yeah, it's so
who
weird.
could actually understand them. So he's just, as he was following and talk sort of offhandedly saying that to him, he's just immediately going to go, okay, right, yeah, that makes sense. He's going to yell that slightly because he's been sort of holding his breath
Uh, oh,
a
bud.
little.
Yeah, it's your voice is real. Like there's little like creaks and groans as of house settling, but your voice is easily the loudest thing in this building. And TFC, um they'll sort of waddle forward, but they'll you know they have a heavy looking trowel kind of slung over their back that they will take into hand as they go forward. But they are very much like almost like a security detail. Like they're clocking the rooms, um, sort of a half moment before Matt gets in there.
Oh,
I mean, you're
so is there anything we should be expecting in here as to why you're carrying that around like you're going to kill someone?
um the chicken kind of looks around, and they say, "Well, we're literally here to make sure there's no trouble to get into. So I'm expecting to get into trouble. Perhaps you know something that I don't, but um,
Oh, well, if we're expecting to, get into trouble, then Mac is gonna take out a broom from his hammer space and just sort of keep it on hand or coiled in his tail, just armed and very afraid.
oh, but
Because, oh yeah, we're supposed to be clearing this place out.
uh,
Uh-oh.
TUC actually roll an insight. What I'll give you for free is that they look as sort of approving that you have your own implement of destruction. Oh, an 18. You
Even
also notice that when you're using your hammer space, they kind of look like sort of curious, interested, sort of puzzled. And you also notice that the trowel was in a pack on their back. You're not quite sure what's up with
yeah,
that, but
most
um,
people are a bit interested when Mac uses his hammer space because it's in his mouth. So he just sort of herked up a broom.
that really reminds them of Jackie. It also reminds them of
Hmm.
It also reminds them of someone else that they met, and they look, if anything, even more inclined to be friendly to you. Like it's just like, all the best people in life seem to use their mouths as hammer spikes.
These two are just like accidentally so familiar with each other.
Yeah, it's been like 5 minutes, and like TFC is already like, oh, I like your vibes, young man. Like I'm not even sure
Mac is already like ready to kill for this chicken.
this chicken would kill for Mac. This is, yes, good. Um, but they set off. You know, I gave you, there's the filing cabinets, there's the typewriter in the office, which you just came out of. Um, there's the doorway in front of you. There's the corkboard, which the chicken had been looking at. There's a couple of scraps of paper on there. And then there's the doorway.
So, I saw, when I was sort of spying on you. Sorry about that. But when you came in, the corkboard.
They shrug, and they say, yes. Um, for it. They look back at the corkboard, and they look back at you, and they look kind of embarrassed about something. And they sort of jerkily sign. Yes, I was reading the corkboard. Yes, indeed. You
Do you
can look
want
at it if you
like?
like.
Do you want like a boost? Just because it did look kind of high up.
They sign, that's extremely kind of you. The no, I'm sure I got a good look. You can look if you want. And they'll just sort of like awkwardly shuffle out of the way. Please don't ask them to
Okay,
read
I'll have a
anything
look at
again.
I'll have a double check at some of the higher notes. Just for my own curiosity. Nothing about anything about your stature. I'll just have a double check.
Mac is so very
So that
good.
I'll be like investigating.
Mac is so very
He doesn't
good.
want to insult them.
Yeah, it's they look very grateful for your discretion, such as it is. Um, with a 17, I mean, it's just pieces of paper. You really don't. It's not worth this fuss. You're not quite sure what's up with them, but there are a couple of personal notes like, oh, it's Alice's birthday next week. Everyone remember. Or there's, cleaners are coming next Wednesday to address some of the mold problems in Subbasement 6. And then there's a big official looking notice that says, basically that the facilities will be shut down pending further notice until such time as health inspections can be completed. Or, excuse me, as soon as health inspections can be safely completed.
Seeing the word safely completed, and Mac is a little bit more concerned now, but he's just gonna sort of go. Everything seems fine on this double check. You're right. It was nothing really important.
13. It's above a 10. What do I get?
Sorry?
I just rolled an insight on Mac. Because that was, if not a lie, then he's downplaying some things.
Yeah, I didn't
So,
hear what you said about 13
so I
before
mean,
that.
it's
Sorry.
above it's above a 10. I mean, it's a low success, but it's above a 10.
All
So,
right, yeah.
what can
Yeah,
TOC?
So, as Mac says, like, oh, it's nothing important, he's very clearly looking away from the corkboard and looking away from TOC as he says that.
They will tap back over and squint at that big official notice and look extremely frustrated. But also, they are trying to keep up a lie, however bad that lie was. So they're not going to call you out on it, but they just kind of like,
You know, maybe the safety issue was the mold being like, too moldy. Max sort of like, he knows he's been caught out just from that quizzical look alone.
Oh, these two. TUC, kind of gives it sort of an assessing look, the corkboard, and they'll ask if they can give you sort of a pat on the back. Like, it's actually roll another history check,
Okay, yeah.
just because I thought of it. 8. I mean, maybe it reminds you of someone else who, it's a good idea to check in before you give a physical affection to, but not really. I mean,
I mean, they're just being polite. Maybe it kind of reminds him of someone, but
yeah.
This dummy.
They're just like, listen, I don't know, like, Max was, but the Chaikin is not using their whiz today. Like, this is not
That is
the
Mac's
lowest game.
second highest stat, and he does not use it.
Yeah, it's same, honestly. Anyways, they will.
Even then, he very much appreciates the asking first.
Yeah, if allowed, they will give you sort of a reassuring pat on the back. And they will again situate themselves firmly between you and the darkened hallway.
So, I guess we press on into the dark. Have you got a light?
They look sort of down at themselves, look back at you. They do not have a light. They sign.
Well,
do you have a light? Sorry.
Maybe we just sort of stick close and squint our eyes.
They sure. Yeah. They're not going to complain about that if it means that Mac is going to stay within protecting range. But yeah, they sort of cast a curious eye into the office, but I mean, you just came out of there, presumably, you found everything that was in there, so they will tap their way towards the darkened hallway. Do you follow?
Out of character, do you think we should check the office first? Because
I honestly, I've got, a little, memo full of creepy stuff. There's, there's not really a set location for anything. I just sort of have it on hand. So
right. Okay.
It's, I will lay the clues that I want wherever they shall come up.
Okay. So, yeah, Max is gonna follow then as close to this tiny defender as he can. because he's only known them for a little bit, but they're about to go into the dark, and there is comfort
Yeah.
in being beside this chicken.
In that case, first of all, that's very soft, and I love it. But also, it seems only prudent that they shall both roll perception. "13 from Mac, 22 from DOC. All right.
Oh my god.
It's
What do you see with your chicken eggs?
with a 13, like you get sort of the general gist of the room. Like it's very dim. You can see, sort of a chandelier in the ceiling that looks very much like it should be lit, but isn't. It's a sort of a big cavernous room. I think like the foyer from Sound of Music with like the big staircases going up to sort of a second floor hallway.
Right.
Like it looks like this place is very fancy. At some point in its life. With the 22 TOC, you sort of see them sort of like blink once, twice, and then you know that thing that cartoons do where their eyes are visible in the darkness?
Yeah.
That at first that wasn't the case with TOC. But after a few minutes, they blink very hard, and it is. And you sort of see their eyes just kind of go zoop, zoop, side to side.
These tiny little bead eyes.
Yep. And they sort of like, again, like it's almost like, it's very security-ish in, the way that they're doing things. They'll sort of like do almost a little circle around Mac, just sort of like, this is what's behind us, this is what's in front of us. They step on a floorboard, and it gives just an absolutely just upsetting sort of creak, and they jump back and like stare at it very hard. Like it's they aren't sharing any thoughts yet, but they're sort of like, they're on this. They're on it. In terms of sort of interactable items, there's actually a box of candles next to the staircase. You don't see any matches, but there's some candles. There's several doors sort of leading off to the side. One looks like it goes sort of to almost like a basement sort of area. Like there's a staircase leading down. Another goes to sort of a it looks like at one point it was a ballroom, but it's been repurposed into like office space, like cubicles and things. Um, there's also a bookshelf, kind of set off to the far wall, and there's the staircase you can go up if you like. I will mention that this building has more basements and sub-basements than it does like normal room or normal floors. So like it's, you can go methodically from down to up, or you can go methodically from down up to down. I will also mention it's, at one point TOC kind of cranes their their little chicken head up and stops and frowns. And you sort of follow their gaze, and you realize that it's very difficult to see the ceiling in this room.
Hmm. Do you think maybe we just get all these stairs out of the way and just start on the top and go down from there? 'Cause, I mean, I don't want to, I'd rather put off the sub basement 6 because that's a health hazard because of the all the dirt and stuff, and that's the only safety concern. So maybe we just put that off for a little.
Yeah, they'll nod amiably enough. Like you seem to have, you're the one with the broom instead of the farm implement, so that you seem to have um, more of a handle on what you're supposed to be doing here than they do. So they will, they'll wait for you to start moving, but they'll sort of start to make their way towards the staircase. Would you mind making me a dex check?
Ooh, okay.
And they will do the same.
This is a check.
A 19.
19.
23.
Oh,
A nat
wow.
20, hey. Uh, so there, as you sort of move forward together, you get about halfway across the room when there is sort of like the squeal of metal, and like the ground starts to like give, and like it's like you've probably been on unstable flooring before. I don't know Max Life, but like something in your head just sort of like tells you to go go go, and you do just in time to avoid the floor sort of buckling out from underneath you.
Snake sense.
Say again.
Snake sense.
Oh boy.
That exists. Totally. It exists whenever I get above an 18.
Oh boy. Oh, snake sense. I was like, what? Oh, all right. But oh boy.
Oh.
Yeah, it's and for a second you don't see TOC and you're like, "Oh my god, I lost the chicken." And then like perfectly like there's a single floorboard that's left standing. And they're sort of perched on it, kind of like looking critically into the whole like, well, this is just great. They seem mostly unfazed. Because I mean, they see the big red snake moved, therefore everything's fine.
Are are you okay?
Thumbs up, and they will walk off the
Yeah,
floorboard and back onto like the floor. Um, a new there's now a new section of this building open to you. Would you mind making me another perception check?
yes, sir. Oh, Mac, no.
Actually, I'll make
There's a
one.
lot of dust in the air.
There's a lot of dust in the air. And what the okay. TOC
Oh my
is.
god, you're on a roll.
I guess I must be. I don't. This will not hold, I think. But you see TOC kind of like cock their head, in sort of like chickens when they see like a bug, they'll sort of like they'll go from like their normal sort of like demeanors to like, oh, there's food. there's food and it's green, and you see them you see them kind of track something from left to right as they look into the hole.
Well, we were sort of looking for plot points or plot lines. I think the building is trying to give us one. Either that or it's trying to kill us, which, you know, I guess makes for a good plot. I don't know. What are you looking at? What can you see down there?
Well, sign. I'm not sure what I saw. This is something sort of little and scurrying, kind of pointy, I guess. But if this building wants to kill us, it's going to have to try much harder. And they're sort of like...
Well... Sorry, you go ahead.
Well, they're sort of like, the eyebrows have gone down a little bit, like they're just sort of like, gosh, I'm not sure how to say it, but just like, they look kind of like stubborn and grouchy. Like, oh, the building's trying to kill us? All right. Well, if it wants to throw hands, it knows where to find me. Without a insight roll, I will tell you.
Shit.
Say again?
It's like this chicken doesn't take no shit.
They really don't. Maybe they take less shit than they should. Probably wisely take shit, but they without an insight roll, I will tell you this chicken kind of looks like they want to fight the building.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm not sure if Mac is.
Yeah, that's perfectly understandable. This chicken is a lot. But they kind of like look around the whole, like there's not really a safe way that they see down, other than just jumping and hoping. You do see the floor is not terribly far away. Like it's for a tall, slithery fella. You could probably if one part of your body stays on the floorboard that TUC's on, and you could probably reach the floor without too much of a bump. But
Right.
yeah, it's do you press on?
Yeah, Mac's gonna well, if it's trying to, lead us down, we could always just go from the bottom up. It's a sudden change of plan, but it's better to change your plan now than before we start it. Maybe if I sort of lower myself down, you can climb down me, and then we can both sort of minimize the drop.
They look into the hole, like they're very much tempted to just like jump in, but they're a great deal shorter than you, so they will begrudgingly sort of come over and yeah, that's probably a fine idea.
Okay, Mac's gonna just sort of wrap his tail around something and just lower his head down slowly into this hole. And wow, this was a lot deeper than he thought. And he's just gonna sort of swing there. Just okay. come down quickly, please, so I can stop doing this.
Holy Jesus. That's 223s in a row, okay.
God.
This chicken absolutely like ninjas down the length of Mac's body. Like they land in sort of a cool sort of like superhero pose at the bottom. And like they sort of like they run in a fast little circle around where you're hanging, like, is it safe? Looks safe, but is it really safe? 7. Looks safe. They motion for you to come down.
I'm coming down. Oh, Mac actually sticks the landing.
Yeah. They look appreciative.
His face is like the closest thing to the ground, but he doesn't land on it.
Mm. Yeah, it's I mean, you've seen like a boa constrictor sort of like climbing in a tree. I'm kind of imagining like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you find yourself in a long, very Spartan corridor. It's there's a little bit of light sort of filtering through grates in the ceiling. Um, you kind of feel like there's like the ceiling is much lower than that drop was. It's like it's not necessarily claustrophobic, but it's almost like that's a very thick floor, like a very thick floor. Like you could almost imagine there being, sort of space in between the ground floor and this first basement.
Hmm. So. Hmm. So that pointy thing, was that here?
They
So I feel like we should get that out. That's important.
they sort of take a second to reorient themselves, and they motion sort of a line with one of their wings, sort of along the wall, like that's sort of the path that they thought it took, just sort of um, leading down the hall. And there's not like left and right isn't really going to work over an audio medium, but like they point in a direction.
Okay. And Mac is just gonna start heading that direction because this is a job and they need to do this. Even
Yeah.
if they broke the floor.
I mean,
They'll probably deduct some of their gold, but maybe they'll still get paid.
I
It's to
mean,
be torn down anyway.
yeah, it doesn't really matter. Um, they, yeah, it's TFC has kind of already rolled a perception and failed at it, but Mac, would you like to roll perception?
Mac would not. They trust. They trust.
All right, all right. Mac's a good fella.
For better or for worse.
You've followed down this hallway for a while, and the grates sort of like there's mostly light sort of filtering in, but there's obstructions from time to time. Um, so you get these like sort of blocks of like very still darkness in between well lit patches, or as well lit as this hallway goes. Um And it's very gray. It's very like this part, is very much in the line of, the whispers that you heard of the meat processing. Um, like
Mm.
it's, you can see, kind of weird boxes in the corner for every once in a while. You can see, doorways which you try and are, locked. So apparently those are non-interactive. Um, and then you start to see, there's a very neat line where the gray wall cuts off and wallpaper starts. Um, and then a few more feet, and then the cement uh, very neatly cuts off, and there's hardwood. And you're beginning to walk into, an area that matches more the aesthetic of the first floor. Like very, like this is a place where people do, fancy sorts of business.
Yeah, this is like a home underneath the home.
Yeah, whatever that means. But yeah, it's eventually the ceiling sort of falls away above you, and sort of like um sort of disappears into the dim gray lighting. And you find yourself in almost like a sitting room. That's sort of at the end of this long hallway. Um, and there's three doors that you can try. There's sort of like half of a sitting area. Like there's a couch and places for chairs and places for a coffee table. But you can't see the coffee table or the chairs anymore. And there are some pictures on the walls. What would you like to do?
Hmm. I think Mac's gonna have a look around at the pictures to just get an idea of the what the people here were like.
Mm. Yeah, TFC will come over. Would you like to roll me investigation?
Oops. Ooh, dirty 20.
Oh, 2.
Oh,
Yeah, TFC.
you'll
It's a
see
little.
it's very short.
They're extremely short. They start looking around for a box to stand on, but while they're doing that, you see, a series of extremely, extremely old photos. Like it's probably back towards the invention of photography with the Lumiere brothers. Um, and you see, a tune, couple of tunes with their arms around each other, very long arms, and sort of like very dapper sort of fedoras, um, and they, their hats are sort of pulled over one side of their face, but the side that is visible is sort of just like beaming at the camera in a way that's not something that you're used to from old photos. So it's nice. Yeah.
It's like a
Um.
pleasant.
Yeah. Like it looks. Very candid. Very like photos used to take a very long time to take. So you kind of get the feeling that like while it was happening, they were sort of like telling jokes and stuff. Like it's very warm. And then um there's another photo of a very tall person with very long stringy hair and like a very neat dress that kind of looks like it's been like patched a couple times to make the sleeves longer and the dress longer. and the torso longer because this is a very long person. And they their hair is sort of in their face, but they're standing very primly with a group of children toons. And this one's, not as candid, but, it's everyone looks very clean. Everyone looks very, well looked after. And there's a caption to this that says, Madame Long in Class 1. And the next few photographs are of, the children from Class 1, getting a little bit older as time goes on. Occasionally, the long-armed toons will show up, either posing with the children or sort of working in the background. And then the last photo is very strange because it's just of a chair sort of laying on its back on the floor. And that has a caption too. It says the end of an era. And at first you're kind of puzzled because there's not really anything it's just a chair. But you also see in the background of the photo a very long arm just sort of laying on the floor, sort of perpendicular to the chair. Meanwhile, TOC has located an ottoman and is sort of determinedly pushing it across the floor back over so that they can also see. That's just happening in the background.
Huh. Mac's gonna turn to talk about these photos and then see TOC pushing this big chair. Do you want a well, not a hand, do you want some assistance or a boost?
Yeah, they'll nod.
Okay. Mac's just gonna not really help, but just sort of take over in pushing this chair.
Yeah, that's
because Tiny Chicken is very determined, but also this chair is very big.
I mean, you kind of get the feeling that it's less that it was too heavy for them and more that it's just extremely fragile. But they will thank you and they will hop up and they will sort of squint at the photos over your shoulder.
So it said it was a class. You said that this was a nursery, or not a nursery, fuck.
An orphanage.
Okay, out of character, my brain is farting. Yeah, that. Fuck.
You're fine. You're completely fine. They sort of they look at you because they did not hear this. And they look at the photos of Class 1 and they'll sort of can roll an insight check if you like, but they don't look happy.
Oh.
A 14. They look very much like, oh boy. It's they look like they're remembering something a little bit, and they look like they're sort of comparing the photos to the room. And you actually, with your very good dirty 20, you realize that a couple of the the photos were taken in the room. Like you recognize like the pattern on the floor and you recognize the wallpaper. Um, but TUC just kind of um, like it's not necessarily anything concrete, but they're just like, oh, I don't like that. Actually, they'll sign to you like this doesn't seem normal, right? Like I haven't done this before, but like this doesn't seem normal.
It seemed somewhat different, but that last photo.
Yeah, they're like, I know, right? Like, peck that last photo. I don't know that's weird.
I wonder where that was taken, if not here.
You actually, you look at that because that's sort of taken facing the floor, like it's the chair on the floor, and you look and you realize that the the chair that is um the chair that is on the floor in the photo matches the couch. Um, and the floorboards match the floorboards that you're standing on. So it's again this there's the couch, but there aren't any chairs in there yet, unless you want to roll an investigation to look for some chairs, or I guess
I
perception
think Max
actually,
gonna.
whichever's better.
That would be perception, because the snake can look at things. Oof.
14. I mean, they sort of actually, you know what? 14 to 15. You basically you notice this at the same time, but there's like not really shadows because like there's not a lot of light in this room to begin with, but like you sort of have for a second a little bit of awareness of something sort of like above you in the dark. So you look up, you realize that the coffee table and the chairs and it looks like a bookshelf have all been like strung up with thick heavy rope from whatever ceiling there might be in here.
Huh. So there's the chair. So it was in here. Do you think there's any reason why you would hang a chair from a big tall roof? Just out of the just a general question. I can't think of any reason.
TUC signs. I do not know, but I don't like it because I'm pretty sure that at least at one point or another, the two of us were standing underneath those things.
Yeah. How's about we just sort of maybe go back and just sort of not look at those hanging things again, just sort of snake around? Because I do not want them to fall.
They nod emphatically. And there's the doorway that you came through, and there's a doorway sort of. It looks like it maybe leads to a stairwell. But yeah, if you're done in this room, then there's the way forward. You don't have to pass underneath the furniture to get at the second door.
Yeah, we're just gonna walk around underneath the furniture and just Let's go downstairs and see if there's anything else. Something we need to clear out.
Yeah.
Because this place just seems kind of. This room just seems kind of off.
Are you opening the door as you say that?
Yeah.
Roll me. Actually, I could suppose this
Uh-oh.
wouldn't be a roll. But as you open the door, it gives, you know, like there's a little bit of resistance. Like not enough that you need to roll a strength for it, but like you feel something sort of attached to the door, like tug and then give. And there's a second where you just hear sort of a dwing, ding, twunk, up in the rafters, sort of. And then you see sort of the shadow of a rope go slack, and then all the pieces of furniture that were um, up up near the ceiling crash to the floor. But luckily,
Oh.
neither of you were underneath them. So you are left in like the big plume of dust that this kicks up, um, just sort of near the door, both of you. Uh, I'm going to say that TOC has used their reaction to move in between you and the furniture, and they're just sort of like brandishing their trowel.
Oh. Max still got his, I guess, mouth on the door handle, just sort of frozen as the dust settles.
Yeah.
And he's just gonna very slowly take his mouth off of the handle and just sort of blink twice at the whole thing that just happened.
Yeah, I think there's definitely like a moment of just silence where they're just both like, what the fuck? And like it's
Okay, so let's. Oh, you go ahead.
well, I was gonna say, you might gonna have them both roll an insight on the trap.
Insight on the trap.
10.
Oh
They're just like,
shit.
fuck that
Oh,
shit. But with a 21,
Jesus, no. That was supposed to be a 4. That was supposed to be a 4, a +4, not a +14. I mistyped that.
still
Minus
though,
10 from that. 11,
11, okay.
not a 21.
Um, I mean, it's
Whoops.
it's weird as fuck, man. Like that's not all right. Like what the this is okay. Um, but it's despite the fact that you were standing where you were when it tripped, you're not smushed, so that you get that. Um, I think TOC is going to be like, well, let's move as far away from that as possible. And they're just kind of try to bundle you through the doorway. Just like move, move. It's
And
go time. Let's go.
yeah, this room is trying to kill us. Let's just go.
So you find yourself.
So
Oh, you go.
was this the door to the staircase? Yeah.
Yeah, like it almost looks like a parking garage sort of stairwell. Like you're back into the just the gray cement. Um, Actually, it looks more like a repurposed elevator shaft. And the stairs are sort of like there's a railing, but they're very sort of like skinny and close to the wall. Like there's a significant amount of this stairwell that's just empty space. And you can see just sort of like darkness above you and darkness below you. There's a few shafts of light at like the very top, but like they seem very weak and very like almost like they're coming through water.
So, cleaning downwards, I guess.
TUC sort of ruffles their
It's just
feathers. They look extremely unimpressed. Um, they
well, I don't know. It was supposed to be, clearing this place out. I guess we solved that trap problem.
yeah, they sort of like, yeah, yeah, you're right. It's just like this is ridiculous. This is not a two-person sort of operation. I am unimpressed with how we were prepared for this. And they'll turn to you and go, "Are you okay?" Because I'm mostly okay, but are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry. And
I'm
you
rolling
can
insight.
roll insight on that.
Mm-hmm. Tell me your secrets. Was that deception?
He's not. Yep, that's deception. He
Son of
is
a gun.
not all right. Who'd have thunk? He
I
almost got his coworker crushed to death and is in a creepy stairwell.
TOC sort of like um they sort of cock their head at you to stare at you with one beady eye. Um and they'll come over uh and just sort of like settle on the ground next to you and they'll be like, I think it's break time. It is it alright if I they sort of like they stop signing and they put their wing over like your side. Like sort of like in the like is affection okay?
Yeah, yeah, that's fine. I just need a minute, is all.
They will nod
Are
emphatically.
you okay?
They will nod emphatically, and they'll sort of like they sort of gather themselves up into like a little potato shape, and they'll sort of like sort of just lean against your side. It's very warm. It's very fluffy. Chickens are very warm critters in general, and they are, you know, and they sort of look up at you and they sign. It if it took just furniture to hurt me, I would be long gone by now. Um, it's I'm unpressed. I don't like that we're here. I will tell you that much. Uh, it. I'm going to roll an insight, and I'm looking for specific information. Can they tell like, how old is Mac?
As in, can they tell how old, or are you just asking as a.
Well, they got a 13, so that's that's a low success. So it's up in the air whether they can tell. But also, how old is Mac? Like,
Mac
not necessarily.
is. Oh, sorry?
Well, I was gonna say like they're maybe not even looking for like an age, just more like, is this a young person? Is this a very young person? Like, um, a scale of Jackie to
Just from
Juniper.
the way. from the way he sort of responded to the danger alone, and the way he tried to immediately sort of hide it, you can tell he's not exactly the most mature. He's definitely within like young adult range. Talk can tell.
Yeah, there. Um, I've had this noodle for 5 minutes, and if anything happened to him, kill everyone in this abandoned building and then myself. But at that, they'll just sort of like, they'll frown a little bit deeper, and they'll like lean a little bit more heavily, and they'll sign, um, this was not a responsibly designed job. This is this any employer who would do this to the people that they are both legally and morally obligated to care about, is there will be words when we get out of here. And they sort of look at you with sort of a almost like a grandparent-ish sort of look, um, just sort of like quietly waiting, like that's their vent for the day. And they're
Yeah,
sort of, you kind of get the feeling that this chicken is willing to listen.
we've got to finish up first, even if it does suck. It's our job, so we've got to keep moving, but maybe just take 10, please. And Mac looks down and it's already very clear that Talk's willing to give them both time, but Mac's still asking as if he was expecting a no.
Yeah, they don't like that. They're gonna like they're gonna like stand up and like if Mac will allow them, they will like sort of like settle like on top of his tail, like or sort of like they're basically like maximum sort of like comfort here. And then they'll just sort of gently start preening a little bit of his fluff, just sort of like a little point of contact, like for all intent, like for all appearances, it looks like they're settling in to be here for a while.
I think in response to that, Mac's gonna sort of lay down a bit and coil around a wee bit. Just rest his head.
Yeah. Um.
Are you hungry at all?
Um. They sort of they'll rifle through their bag, and um they'll pull out a little bit of birdseed. Or like it looks like some sunflower seeds, some little bits of grass. There might be some millet in there. And it's in sort of a little like cloth packet, which they will lay out on the ground. Uh, like it's sort of like it's a shared snack.
Oh, I think in response to this, Mac's gonna say this is gonna be a little bit gross, so feel free to turn away. And he's gonna take 2 lollipops out of his hammer space and set them down as well.
Yeah, they're fine.
So
Like
that.
it's again they again you kind of get the feeling that they're used to people using their mouths as hammer spaces. Um, so
Hmm.
they will accept one with dignity and sort of like um kind of look at it as they hold it. Oh, that's lovely. Um,
Yeah, Max is right down onto his as well, and just take a little minute.
yeah, it's they will sort of like fiddle around with it, just kind of trying to figure out how to eat it with a beak. And they sort of come up empty. So instead um they'll sort of settle in and take up watch for a bit. They are like they are not going to move Mac until Mac chooses to move himself, basically, and maybe a little bit after that actually, because they're getting they're they're picking up vibes that Mac is maybe thinking of pushing himself more than he should be. Um,
Yeah,
and I think
out of
there's
character. Just I'm just gonna say Mac is very very tired,
yeah, it's
especially from all the adrenaline.
yeah, it's would you say TOC picks up on that?
TOC doesn't even need an insight check. Mac is curled up, eating a sweetie and like dozing off.
Yeah, they I don't think they're gonna let him like sleep in this, extremely
Yeah,
upsetting basement, but they will file that away for later. Like it's like, oh, the child is sleepy.
yeah. He just needs like 5 minutes to just close his eyes and just not even sleep. Just you know,
Yeah.
not have his eyes open.
Yeah, he gets them and I have a little bit more. And maybe after, 15 minutes um of just sort of like gentle, you hear some pecking as they enjoy their bird seed. You hear um at one point you hear like a little bit of a skitter, then a thunk as something like hits the far wall, and maybe you're like, what was that? And TOC is just like, never mind, go back to sleep. Um, and then they go over and they retrieve their trowel, which they have embedded in like half of a centipede that they saw, and they will eat the centipede. Like it just basically just like they're just chilling.
You're taking a wee short rest.
Yeah. And probably after about 15 minutes, they'll come back over and they'll be like, they sort of tap you to get you to open your eyes so that they can sign at you. And they'll sign,
Hmm.
we can just leave. Like, if you wanna, like this is a very, um, this isn't fair to ask of anyone, especially not for like 20 gold.
But money's money. We started. We should. Uh,
They look
Max
dude.
not.
Say again?
Max just like Max like protesting, but isn't denying the option.
Yeah, they if it's clear for now that this is um that's your vibe, then they look extremely dubious, but they nod. Um, they should say, well, let me know when you're ready to get started, because I would like this to be over as soon as possible. Oh, are you still there?
I mean, yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, no worries.
Do you think... I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but do you think if we just said there was nothing, then they wouldn't yell?
They will very firmly sign, no one is going to yell at you. And they'll say, I think we should be honest, because this job does actually need to be done, preferably by a much larger team than just the two of us. But no one will be yelling at you.
Right. Then, yeah, I'm ready to leave. This place sucks.
They will come over and they will we'll preen a little bit more of the fluff on your head, or as close to your head as they can manage. And they sort of give you, a little proud look. And so you sort of both look, into the darkness, and you see, a little bit of scuttling, a little bit. Then you look up towards the watery beams of light above you, and you begin climbing. And the light goes brighter and brighter, till you find yourself on the undersides of those big staircases that you observed in the second room. And you very carefully make your way around the big hole in the floor. And you make your way out of the foyer, and you are standing in the sunlight. And TUC will pull out the piece of paper that they have, which has an address on it, just in case. And they will ask if you want to go see, the people who commissioned you right now. It's probably better to get it out of the way.
Yeah, they wouldn't. They don't have it hanging over us.
Yeah. And so it's not that far away. You don't have to roll anything. And they're, it's a little building. Like it's basically a real estate looking firm, like demolitions company. And they, you go into the office, and then TUC kind of stops. And they turn to you and go, actually, would you mind waiting out here for a sec? Just for a very
Yeah,
quick moment.
okay. Just, maybe not mention the whole, almost dying part.
Mm.
I'm sure they're good people. They didn't know.
They look unconvinced. You can roll a persuasion if you like.
Yeah, this is 320.
What would I roll to contest?
I think just straight up whether or not you think TOC would say not mention almost dying on the job.
I'm gonna roll a D2 because it is an 18. Okay. they give you, another sort of like a fond pet if you'll let them. And they head in, and it's quiet for a second. There's birds singing. A person goes by singing on a bicycle. In the distance, there's sort of an explosion off in the direction of the street where Dodo Studios is. It's normal. And
Toontown Day.
yeah, it's just it's normal and it's bright and the air is fresh. It's good. Would you like to roll a perception?
Yes, I would.
That's a dirty 20.
320.
You're enjoying, just the sounds. Like that building was so quiet, but it had just like the heaviest silence, and like the creepiest soundtrack, and like the all the sort of like little noises that a very old building makes when there should be no one in it, but there are anyway. And then
Yeah.
you start to hear, like just sort of like a whoa 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 from inside, like just sort of like you can't really make out the turns, and then you hear in between there's some pterodactyl screeching. It sounds like you're not sure what that's about, and it goes sort of back and forth like there's sort of like blank speech bubbles coming out from behind the door, and this goes on for probably a good few minutes. There's a little bit of crashing, not a lot, but like it does sound like maybe something got knocked over.
Max is looking at this whole. Max is looking over with like mouth agape, like what?
And then after about 10 minutes, TOC walks out of the door. Just they're doing a little bit of chicken strutting, and they will hand you a bag of 30 gold. And they have another bag that looks similarly heavy, and they go, "Sorry, I mentioned it."
Looking down at the pay, Max is gonna say, "Okay, I think I'm fine with that."
Yeah, they'll tuck it into their pack, which they're now having. It's now like they're a very small chicken. Like they're not having trouble with it, but also it's like probably half their size again. And they will they'll start off down the street, just sort of kind of sort of looking at you expectantly. Like, what else do you want to do today?
Yeah, Mac's gonna speed up and follow.
Yeah.
So thank you for all of that. Are you sure you don't need to like rest or something? Because I had my time, but you've been up and about for a while.
They shrug. They sign. Well, I'm staying with a very kind lady in town. I'm sure that there's they kind of look dubious as they say a good meal waiting for me at the end of the day. So that makes it easier to keep going. But it's thank you for waiting while I did that. I have absolutely no way of tracking you down. So.
Oh, well, do you want a way of tracking me down? Stay in contact? Because I think you're pretty neat.
Yeah,
Mac does not know how to make friends.
Yeah, they'll sort of, give you. They'll smile at you, and it's You can roll me a perception if you like. But they'll nod. Like that, yeah. That sounds good.
I think Max is gonna exchange numbers, I assume.
This chicken does not have a
I don't
number.
have a predetermined.
Yeah,
Oh
like
well.
they actually they take out it looks like a almost like a business card. It's a little bit sort of like rumpled. And on the other side of it, they'll take down your info. You can see it's the front of it is a business card for Toontown private investigator. You may or may not know who that is. I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh wait, is
I
that your
think.
insight? Yeah. I completely missed that for a
Sorry.
sec. I completely missed or
Sorry.
the insider perception. Either way, it's a dirty 20.
That was perception from the previous thing.
It
If I can roll again if you want for now.
no, it's fine. But you definitely see the business card, but you also when they smile, it kind of occurs to you that you this this is a very real kind chicken. Like it's chickens that don't have much in the way of expressions. It's all the chickens that that have had expressions are much more toonish. So this is a much more a little bit more toonishness than you've seen from them before. Like almost like there's been some sort of like shift. But as you're walking, they'll say it felt very important that we dealt with that, because if they going to treat us like that, unless they understand this is not acceptable behavior, they will treat someone else like that, and that's not how we're vibing today.
Yeah. Mac sort of thinks about that. Because for Mac, normally the thought process goes deal with it and be treated like that. Otherwise, someone else will, rather than make them stop treating people like that.
Oh boy, it's. Does he say anything of the like to TOC?
I think after hearing that, Mac's gonna say like, I normally don't really deal with stuff in this way. It feels weird. Usually I just sort of let it happen so that, the next person won't have to deal with it.
They sort of ruffle their feathers, but that uh they'll sign. It's, I mean, people often do what they want, unless there's a reason for them not to. Sort of the way that you don't eat every ice cream every day, because if you do, you'll get sick. So think of it this way: by raising a fuss and making sure that we're treated the way that we deserve to be treated, we're teaching them in a sort of a gentle manner that if they treat people like this, there will be consequences. And they give you sort of a like it's a beak. It's not quite a grin, but sort of like a little bit of like a little bit of a shit stir grin. Like it's they actually they look pretty smug with themselves. Like it's or not like smug, but like you know how like when you deal with a difficult situation, but you're sure that you dealt with it right. They've sort of got those vibes going on.
Yeah, it's like self-assured.
Yeah. Um, and um, they will say, you know, it doesn't seem like that was the sort of move that you're used to making. It seems like, you know, leaving leaving before the job was done sort of went counter to your instinct there.
Yeah, normally I don't really. I just sort of put up with it, I guess.
Mm.
I wish I could do what you do, raise a storm and say no. But I definitely can't do that. Not now. And Max is gonna mm, just sort of look away as he says that.
Can I roll insight on that?
Yep.
25. It for the listening
Yeah.
audience, there are certain details that TOC cannot know because it will fuck up several different things. But I'm gonna like they. Could I say that they are you know, they kind of clue in on what you just told me, sort of like that he's scared of something that there's like what do they get exactly with the 25?
I think from that they can tell that Mac has got some kind of situation and they are afraid.
They're gonna man, I know what they say,
You,
but they're like they sort of like in the head of TOC, there's sort of a moment like man, are we really going to say this again? And then there's another little TOC that goes up to them and is like, listen, if of course we're going to. Um and so like it's they sort of like think for a second. They go, I am a chicken and I am a very sort of fragile thing, and it is healthy for me to be scared a vast majority of the time. And you kind of get the feeling that they're saying this of their own volition, but they're not like happy about it. They're not like they're just sort of like, all right. Um, so they continue on. Uh, it's very healthy for me to be scared of. Well, and they sort of gesture around. You, the sky, the street, the cars, um, and they say it, uh, and it is they'll sign. It's gotten a little bit worse lately because it's been a long time since I've had a flock sort, if you understand. And now I do. Now on top of all the things that could happen to me, I also know all the things that could happen to them. But they sort of turn, they make eye contact, and there is just pure steel in their eyes when they say, um, as far as I am concerned, it's okay if something happens to me, because it likely will, but it is not okay if something happens to them. So every day when I go out into the world and I do what I have to, I have to make a decision on whether the thing that I am scared of is worth braving for the reward that it will get me. And I have made a promise to myself that every time I think of that question, I will give myself the same answer. And that answer is that yes, it's worth it. It's worth it for me to be okay and to be out in the world. And it is worth it for the people who I love to have someone they can rely on. So I understand more than I would like to tell you. But I am also going to tell you that you can. And anyone who tells you that you cannot is trying to do something terrible to you. Sorry, I I got a little bit lost in the sauce. I didn't mean to talk for that long, Atomic.
That is fantastic. I think Mac is just gonna take a second to let that soak in, and then just scoop TOC into a little hug.
Yeah, they return it with gusto. You get, a big old like grandparent hug, basically. They're a deceptively strong chicken. Like it's very warm.
That's very good.
Yeah, it's well, for one, you're holding them, so they can't really pull away, but also they're not going to be the ones to pull away first.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you
so
think we're close to finishing up at some point?
yeah, it's yeah, we've gone on for a while. Sorry.
I think after hugging on to TOC, Max sort of opens his eyes, and then he sees, oh, there's ice cream, and he's not gonna uncoil, but he's gonna lift his head up with TOC still wrapped in a hug, sort of at his neck. Be like, oh, we could, and then realize and drop TOC. Sorry about that. We could get some ice cream, since we've got the money.
They will, like, first of all, they completely wave off your apology. And then they look thoughtful and they say, I don't think I've ever had ice cream before.
Oh,
Is it good?
well,
Is it like kale?
it's worth it.
Yeah, they will sort of reshuffle themselves into a more dignified shape. And they will let you lead them over to the parlor. And I will say that it's actually the ice cream parlor is having a free day. It's just like a quick marketing gimmick. It was going to go on for probably not too much longer. Like if you had stayed um, in the building, you would have completely missed it. But you didn't, and so you're here.
It was a free afternoon.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Gonna
that.
finish up with two of them having some free ice cream together.
Yeah.
And TOC either loving or having a brain freeze. Oh, maybe roll con to see if TOC gets a brain freeze.
Okay. D20 plus. Oh, really? Yeah, alright. 27.
Champion.
They sort of like, they dip their beak in and they go, and they sign, okay. Actually, it's, what flavor does Matt get?
I think Mac's gonna get mint chocolate.
Yeah, they get like a strawberry sorbet. So, that's yeah, that's I think that's the
They're
end.
just gonna have ice cream together. And
Yeah.
that's it.
This
It's
was
very
very
good.
good. Yeah, thank you for agreeing. This was a delight from start to finish.
Absolutely.
Congratulations, you've been adopted, Mac.
Congratulations. You have ice cream.
All right. Well, we better stop the recording. Thank you so much for listening, everybody.
Yes, thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.